trade deadline day. It's an interesting day in the NBA. Players going out, players coming in. Special. It's been a long day. Special shout out to my friend Suns Geek, who stood alongside me as we reacted to all the things that occurred at the trade deadline. If you haven't had a chance to watch that show or listen to that podcast, I highly recommend you do. It was a good time doing it with my buddy Brandon. And, the trade deadline's a fun day. It's the last grasp before the next last grasp, which is the buyout market, which happens March 1st. So plenty to talk about relative to that. But after everything was said and done, the Phoenix Suns still had to play a game tonight against a pesky Jazz team, a team that over the past few games, 13 games, are 7-6, but they have one of the highest offensive ratings in the league. They also have one of the highest or lowest, however you look at it, worst defensive ratings, which was kind of like the Hawks, right? The Hawks are a team that have a great offensive rating, a really bad defense, and the Suns couldn't survive them. Well, tonight, even without Devin Booker, the Phoenix Suns had really no issue with the Utah Jazz, a team that also sent out 3 players today. The Suns sent out 4, down Booker, shorthanded, no problem dispatching the Utah Jazz. So, Matthew, this win for the Phoenix Suns is a season series sweep against the Jazz. It's the first time that has happened since 1982-1983 season. And I had another stat in there, but I forget what it was. So how are you doing? I haven't seen you all day. Trade deadline, everything. We got to get all your points of view, too.
Yeah, I know. And I was trying to join, but there was a check float issue at work, and it took about 2 hours to figure out.
No, you should have said I was trying to join, but then security kicked me out again.
What's funny is I thought I lost my AirPods, the case. I was like, dude, did I leave it at the game? No, it was after I looked today again. It was in my pocket still. So I was nervous about that. I was like, damn it, dude. But yeah, but thanks for holding it down, Suns Geek. I didn't watch it, didn't have time really. So it wasn't that crazy of a trade deadline. So, but I think he was on for like 2 hours, right?
Hour and 40 minutes he went. I had an hour. I had to get into a meeting.
Like, I'm like, John's still on?
He's like, is it okay if I hijack your podcast? I'm like, absolutely, man. Do it to it. Yeah. I got to get back to work. The door was shut. There's people who are up there with a glass to the door trying to hear what I'm talking about. I'm like, dude, just go on YouTube. You can see it's literally happening right now. But I have to get back to work. So again, it's live. Are we live? Are we live right now? What's going on? But plenty to talk about when it comes to the Jazz game. That's how I want to kind of start. I want to start with the Jazz game, or maybe the trade deadline. I don't know where we'll start, but we will start by thanking Biscuits in the Bear for $14 in the super chat. It says great series sweep, all with over 30 plus assists. Time to bring on the second series sweep on Saturday. That's right. We play the Golden State Warriors, who we have not lost to yet this season as well, on Saturday. So that'll be an exciting game. And again, thank you, Biscuits and the Bear. Suns Fever says #free Lissy because you were kicked out of the game. So funny.
You know what? Just really quick, they did have the AEW event like the next night. So maybe that was why, but it still was weird.
It was weird.
I'll talk to Palmer about it.
You'd be like, listen, I got to talk to Matt Ishbia. He said I could do this. It's right here on the phone, okay?
Yeah, let me give him a call.
Let me give him a call. A reminder, ladies and gentlemen, you can follow me at Darth Void and read all my writing at brightsideofthesun.com. We had some fantastic coverage of the trade deadline. So if you have any questions about the trade deadline, what the Suns' assets were, what they're going to be, all that fun stuff, check out brightsideofthesun.com. You can follow Matthew.
I'm Matthew Lissy.
And you can follow the show at Suns Jam on all your major social media outlets. We're going to pop them if we got them. I've got Jazz Tears right here. Listen to this. It goes, when you open it, it's a funny sound. That's funny, huh?
That is weird.
Let's talk about the win and the trade deadline. No issue dispatching the Utah Jazz tonight's final score 129-115 as the Phoenix Suns sweep the season series against the Jazz. And yes, that was the statistic I was thinking of. The Suns had a season high tonight, 37 assists. Their previous season high was 36, which occurred against the Utah Jazz, and 35, which occurred against the, checking notes, Utah Jazz. This is a team that all season long, the Suns have had no issue moving the ball and taking advantage of them. I wish we played them all the time. Our lowest total this season was on the 28th of October against the Jazz was 31. So every game we played against the Jazz, we had 31 assists, which brings me to my first question.
Oi, Matty. Mate, I've got to ask.
I've got just a simple 2-word question for you, Matthew.
Yeah.
Point Allen.
Hi, Barbie.
Oh, hi, Alan.
Oh, Grayson Allen, our fuck shit up guy.
I mean, what else can he not do, dude? I mean, it's already in the chat. John Nelson, Allen, our point guard. Yeah, he is, right? He's the guard that we've been missing. But him stepping up, of course, again, when another big three member is out, he just constantly comes through. And then when they're healthy, he's kind of just the other guy, right? But he just knows when to step up when the other guy's out. And the biggest thing for this team was just finding the way to facilitate the ball without Devin Booker. And even if it had to do with just Kevin Durant and Beal, who their assist numbers look good too tonight, they got to figure it out. And I think with Allen's performance tonight, just makes you feel a little bit better, right? About this team moving forward, and the turnovers are down the last few games. Like, it's just, those are the things that you kind of were looking for them to improve. And with games like this, it makes you feel a little bit better for sure.
No point guard, no problem. At least against the Jazz, that's for goddamn sure. Yeah, Grayson Allen tonight ends with a total of 8 points. Just 8 points. 35 minutes played, just 8 points. 2 of 3 from beyond the arc. 14 assists, ladies and jamsters. His previous career high was 8. He almost doubled it up. He had 0 assists in the fourth quarter. He had 14 assists through 3 quarters. So he was finding his open teammates, and part of that is his open teammates were knocking down the shots. Eric Gordon had a couple of big threes in the third quarter that occurred on the fast break where Allen was doing a fist pump after he made him because he's like, I got another assist, baby. I don't know what that total is, but I know I'm having a career night. But it just goes to show you that when we have that starting 5 that includes both Yusuf Nurkic and Grayson Allen, that you have people who can facilitate and pass. They might not always need to, they might not always are asked to, but they have the capacity to do so. And you have the offensive firepower that can knock down the shots. So what we saw tonight, it was a great game for Grayson Allen. I liked leading off with him because with Devin Booker out, we have our highest assist total on the season. We end up shooting a total of 59.1% from the field. Okay, that is our, 6th best game. God, we've shot over 60% from the field in 6 games this season. Jeez.
It's yeah.
That's good.
It's the team just feels relieved. I feel like after the trade deadline, it's over. They had a team set. You even saw Nazir Little. Like, these guys just felt different out there. They looked different. And you can tell by them knocking down the shot, but just their body language is just like, oh, more lax. They're like, thank God it's over. Now we can just play basketball.
I survived.
They're like, I feel free now, right? So that's the way they played all game. And that's the way they'll be playing the rest of the season, right? And not this way all the time, but you can just see it in their eyes. They're like, all right, we're ready to finish the season off ahead to the playoffs.
I thought that was goddamn Steve Nash out there tonight. I was like, who's this white boy passing the ball around? I'm like, oh, is that Steven Nash? Like, no, that's Grayson Allen, a former member of the Utah Jazz, if I remember correctly. So he was going at his former team. And yeah, John Tran says in the chat, they had unclenched the butts tonight because the
Yes.
trade deadline has come and gone. Shout out to David in the chat real quick. Says, love the Suns Jam Pod Squad. When are you guys making a t-shirt? Go Suns. A couple things there, David. One, thank you for the $4.99 in the super chat. And two, if you follow the link on the YouTube page, we have a link to our Redbubble page, which has a bunch of our Suns Jam Session merch, as well as other designs that I've created when I'm bored there as well. Some fun stuff there. So again, thank you for your support. And thank you to everybody who's watching for your support. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button if you happen to be here. It helps with the algorithms and lets people know we're the funnest place, the most funnest. I used to say that growing up. My sister used to, it's not funnest. Okay. It's most fun. Sorry, Bonnie Ann. Okay.
Well, we can say it on here.
Yes.
Yeah,
take
we can
that.
Get away. I can get away.
Take that,
it.
Bonnie. The funnest place to come after Suns wins, and the best place to come after a Suns loss, where you have a good therapy session. You hang out with John and Matthew right here on the Suns Jam Session podcast. I do want to talk a little bit about Kevin Durant because he had a really, really good game.
Who the heck are you?
I'm Kevin Durant. You know who I am. Y'all know who I am.
Did anybody see a sniper? Did anybody see anything?
I'm one of the best players to ever play the game.
I don't even know if Matthew was watching.
You added the dunk.
You didn't see the words, did you? You
no,
looked
I was
away.
looking at my notes.
I know.
You want to play it again?
I was watching you. I'm like, Matthew's not looking that I changed that drop. Now, if you're listening,
sorry.
it's the same drop. But if you're watching, you see I changed that up a little bit. I put the dunk over Giannis at the very end of the drop, and I added, Kevin Durant's words in there. I thought it was time to give it a little bit of an upgrade because that's been the same one he's had since he joined the team 1 year ago, effective today. So on the 1 year anniversary of acquiring Kevin Durant, I thought I changed at least the visual aspect of his drop. So thank you, Matthew, for paying attention. 31 points from Kevin Durant tonight. 8 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks, and a chemistry with Kevin Eubanks. With Drew Eubanks.
Call him that.
That's why people are leaving the podcast. They're like, oh my God, they can't even get the guys' names right. Drew Eubanks. The chemistry that they were building and have built throughout this season was highly effective tonight at a key point in the game, almost to the point where Kevin Durant could have scored some more points, but he wanted to get his buddy Drew Eubanks involved. What'd you see from Kevin Durant tonight?
That's the most important thing that I did see was him teaching Eubanks, even on the sidelines, like them sitting there talking on the break. That was perfect. I love seeing that, man. And it was like really enthused. Eubanks is like, but what about this? Like, you can tell, like, during the game too, like Eubanks needed that boost of confidence because there's a few plays there where like Eubanks just go up and try to dunk and draw a foul or something. He would lose the ball going up to start the game, and he started to get it going. And like you said, like KD was finding him, and then KD was teaching Bol too on the sideline. Like he's just like going over whatever they're looking at, plays, old play. There you go. Yeah, but that's good because
Yes.
KD's like, we need, these are the biggest X factors going into the playoffs. Bol and Eubanks for me. Those guys have to be confident playing. We need that size. If we don't have them, we don't have that backup center, maybe the buyout, who knows? But we need that size heading into the playoffs. And he's probably just taking every moment he can to teach these guys. And hopefully they're actually absorbing it. And it seems like they are. Eubanks just has to get going, dude. And I think Durant loves him. He does.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see like, even like when Eubanks is going up for the dunks and you see on the sideline, you could see like Booker like giggling and stuff over there. Like you see Nurk just like jumping up like, come on, let's go. And like, it's so good to see that. So these guys are teachable, and Durant can be a leader, and he should be all the time.
Yeah, that's what I saw tonight that I think was important on a game in which Devin Booker's out, and Devin Booker's kind of the alpha of this team. We know it. We know that Kevin Durant is one of the most talented players in the history of the NBA, and he's okay letting this be Devin Booker's team. He's okay with Devin Booker being the alpha. He's okay with the guy who's 27 in his prime trying to take command, knowing that at any point KD could pop. And that's one thing that I'm sure Devin Booker loves. It's like, hey, you've come to Phoenix, you've come to the team that I've been playing for nearly a decade, and you can pop at any time, and I love playing alongside you. But Devin Booker's out tonight. Has a hip injury, a sore hip, day to day. We'll see how long that designation carries on, if it affects him short term or if it affects him long term, or if it's just it was rainy and cold in Phoenix and something in his hip was acting up. I don't know. But Kevin Durant comes out and scores 11 of the Suns' first 16 points and sets the tone right off the bat and says, hey, I'm going to lead us to victory tonight, guys. And then, as you mentioned, as the game progressed, Bradley Beal started to pop, and we'll talk about him momentarily. But Kevin Durant really took on that leadership role, trying to better those around him via passing, via coaching on the sidelines, via coaching in the game after, there's one play where they have a fast break going, and Drew Eubanks, after 2 consecutive slam dunks on passes from Kevin Durant, has a fast break going, and it's him and Durant. He decides to take the ball instead of passing off to Durant. Durant's give him a little professional ribbing as he's fouled on the play, probably telling him something like, yo, this is one where you can give it to me now, okay? But at the same time, joking with him and being appreciative of his aggressiveness to draw the foul, right? He didn't make a bonehead play and just like bounce it off his knee, because that would get Durant like, come on, man, like either pass it to me or don't turn the ball over. But then, yes, the picture that I pulled up of him coaching Bol Bol on the sidelines as well with an iPad in between plays, showing him what he sees from a defensive standpoint. Kevin Durant, now that this roster has settled, is going to continue to do something that he does, and that's he's a silent leader. He does the little things to lead. He's not out there being the overly vocal leader that everybody stands and at attention for, and he's not trying to show like LeBron. I hate to go there, but LeBron does things for the camera to make himself look like he's a quality leader when he's really not. He'll sit there and be talking, and like you'll see his eye glance at the camera, and then he'll like really get intense. He's like, "Oh shit, the camera's watching. I gotta be a motivator at this moment." Whereas Katie don't care. Katie's doing those little things, and I love the fact that he was having that conversation with Bol Bol, because Bol Bol, I honestly believe a couple things. One, Bol Bol said it himself. The fact that Kevin Durant's playing here is one of the reasons that he wants to play here, because he's a long guy just like him. And to see what Kevin Durant's done in his career, he wants to be around that. And he wants to learn from him. And two, I think that with Kevin Durant around, it's going to affect Bol Bol in a positive way. And we've seen that. We've seen some great basketball. And tonight was another good Bol Bol game. So all of those intangibles that Kevin Durant brought tonight were vital to this win, a win that is a tricky one with the trade deadline. We'll talk about that when we talk trade deadline stuff, but I really, really liked what I saw from Kevin Durant, not only offensively, but getting his teammate involved, coaching them on the sidelines and during the game. It was just a complete effort from Katie, and I continue to be impressed and blessed that he's on this team, man. Where's Maya? You hear that, Maya?
Yeah, exactly, right. The love. Hey, I love Kevin Durant. So there's a few plays that were out there, like you can see him trying to grab everybody really quick for a huddle, but they picked up a little bit of audio tonight where he's just like, guys, I see you covering the perimeter, but we need help on the boards. That was towards the end of the game. He's just like, let them know, like, cover the perimeter, but we still need help. We need that group rebounding. We need everyone down here to help out, stuff like that. And like you said, man, these guys look up to Katie. It means a lot for them, for him to sit there right next to them, scoot over a seat and be like, all right, let's just go through this. I'm actually listening. I'm actually responding in a respectful manner, unlike LeBron, who like sits. I love how we're just like throwing a little bit of shade at LeBron while we're doing this.
I'm always
in the corner with.
I'm always throwing shade at LeBron.
Yeah. He's like away from the huddle. Mm-hmm. Like you always get those video clips.
He's like mad at his team when they're not performing well or something.
Yeah, it's just it's disgusting. So this is where Kevin Durant is the better player over LeBron, definitely in this instance.
In a leadership capacity, absolutely. And I like that you brought up the audio part, because that is important, because you're playing against the Jazz, which are one of the top offensive rebounding teams in the league. They ended up having 19 offensive rebounds tonight. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a challenge. They ended up giving up 20 second chance points to the Jazz while only scoring 6 second chance points themselves. Now, granted, when overall as a team you're shooting 60% from the field, there's not going to be a lot of second chance opportunities because your first shot's going in the majority of the time. But there's always a dangerous combination when you allow those offensive rebounds. And we've talked about that. If you allow offensive rebounds and you turn the ball over a ton, you will lose the game. And that's been kind of the recipe for the Suns' losses as of late. Tonight, they gave up those offensive rebounds. They gave up 20 second chance points. But total turnovers, they only had 12, and they only gave up 15 points off those turnovers. That's been kind of that backbreaker for the Phoenix Suns. So you put all that together, you take into account that the Phoenix Suns ended up going 14 of 29 from beyond the arc. That's 48.3%. And it turns out to be an easy victory. And part of that great 3-point shooting was the 6 of 8 from beyond the arc from Bradley, the Batman masked Beal.
And she said, you're not the only one, but you're the best, Bradley. Bol Bol.
I should do that drop. I should redo it instead of having Bradley Noel sing it. It should be me in the Batman voice. Like,
yeah.
Where is she?
You should redo.
You're not the only one.
The Batman.
You're
voice.
the best, Bradley. Bump, bump.
The whole pod should just be Batman.
Oh my God.
You think you can do that?
Yeah, I'll have a spin-off one called the Batman Podcast.
Should. I think everyone would get kind of sick of it though, quick. You know what I mean? It's nice where it's every other pod. That way, the anticipation, like, oh, tonight's Matthew, but tomorrow or the next game, I look forward to John doing the Batman. But tonight, everyone,
and then John,
there is a new character. There's a new
Matthew
character
has a new sub.
Stay tuned. Yeah, no more
Teaser.
The king is dead. All right, the king is dead, guys.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Damn.
So someone else is coming up. Someone else was in the jazz subreddit.
Okay, I can't wait. Well, let's do the subreddit. No, we're going to talk about Bradley Beal. Okay,
right.
Bradley Beal, 30 points tonight on 6 of 9 shooting from beyond the arc. He was 11-21 overall, 7 assists for him as well, 2 rebounds, 5 turnovers from Bradley Beal. I didn't realize he turned the ball over that much.
Yeah.
Yikes. Yikes. What do you see from Beal tonight?
Yowza. Besides this, Salhouse Soto says, I can't believe how many layups Beal misses all the time, man. So he does. And I was talking to someone at work. So there's 2 things I talk about. Bol Bol entering the starting lineup by the time the playoffs start, right? This is just the way I am. I throw this crazy nutty shit out there. He's like, wait, hold on. You have a podcast? You have media credentials? And I'm over here just like schooling you what the Suns should be doing. And the other thing I talk about is Bradley Beal. I kind of just need a little bit more. I need a little bit more. I'm not comfortable with the guy yet. And he's like, well, what do you need from him? He's scoring 30 points a game. Like, what else you need? I'm like, there's just certain things, dude, on the court. Body language is my thing. All right. And it's not quite there yet. I love his game. I love what he brings to this team, obviously. That doesn't discount the fact that I'm thinking that he can go another level. So I know he's played not that many games this year. He's been struggling to stay healthy. But now that he's on a little run and he's actually collecting some games underneath him, I'm excited to see what else he can bring just body language wise. And it's just something missing. I don't know what it is. And maybe it's the missed layups, but there's just something else missing from him. So when that game comes, when I see that, I'm like, oh, there he is. There he is. So I know he's a great scorer and he's
What about the game
great,
against Washington?
The game against Washington?
Yeah. We went for 45.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what he was saying. He's like, what else does he need to do? He scored 45. I'm like, I'm just saying as a whole, there's something missing to where in that starting lineup, in the death lineup, yeah, there's fucking great games. That's fine. But there's just moments where I'm like, oh, I just don't see it right now. It's not complete yet. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
He'd probably say the same thing. There's something off, but maybe he'll mention it in an interview or something. Maybe like, I was listening to Matthew Lissy and he's right. This is what it is. And he'll correct it.
He just said at the press conference that something's wrong with his body language. And he quotes, there's some guy who dresses up like Elvis Presley who we no longer know who that is because the king is dead. No, I get what you're saying with Beal.
Yeah, he is awesome. That's what I'm saying. He's awesome, but there's just something missing.
What you saw from Beal when he was in Washington was a complete and utter comfortability, which makes sense. He was there for 11 seasons. He owned that city. He was comfortable there, and he played like it. And there is some uncomfortability. I guess I can see where you're coming from a body language standpoint.
You don't have to. It's fine. It's
just okay. I get what you're saying because again, like it's a comfortability thing, and there's times where he looks uncomfortable out there. It's times where he's in the middle of a decision. That's why he misses some of those layups sometimes. But I'm not complaining about that 30 points tonight. I'm not complaining about that 6 and 9 from beyond the arc. It's nice to see him get crisp from beyond that arc, be comfortable with that mask on. This is his 3rd consecutive game where he shot the ball well from deep. And I think that he's really started to turn a corner. So it's like, okay, what's next? Is it an elbow or like You know, at first it was the back, and then it was the ankle, and then it was the face. It's like
Yeah.
it's going to be a finger or something. I already can see it coming. It's just kind of.
I don't really worry about that anymore. When he fell to the ground a few times now on those layups, I don't really worry too much about the injuries at all, like anymore. I kind of just skipped my mind, but
Well, I'm here to put it right back in there. Mwahahaha. Mwahahaha. Let's talk about Bol Bol.
Up in the sky! It's a bird! It's a plane! It's
Bol Bol, motherfucker. Say what? Lob lob. Bol Bol, man. Another good performance from him tonight. 14 minutes played, only 6 points. That's all he had. He only had one rebound.
hell yeah, dude. That's how he does.
They only gave him
These
credit for
blocks.
2 blocks.
Are you serious? He had 4 like in a minute.
Yeah, he had 3 in a 2-minute span. I wrote it in my piece. He had 2 on one possession
hate
and 1 the
that.
next one. That's dumb.
No, he had 3.
Even it says 2 on ESPN.
No, I'm on ESPN. It says 3.
What? I'm gonna hit refresh.
That's weird. Yeah, maybe you're like still stuck in the second quarter or something.
Nope.
Or that
It says-
2-minute span.
It says Bol Bol 2 blocks.
Oh,
I'm
really?
looking on NBA.com. NBA.com.
What time
Bol
zone are
Bol,
you in?
2 blocks.
Oh, that's
I got
strange.
2 blocks. Yeah, that's dumb.
Yeah.
But he was great, man. He had that. He had like a couple really good plays. He had the one where he faked out Troy Hendricks, who also was faked out by Kevin. That rookie, he was taken 9th overall by Utah. On one play, Kevin Durant crosses him over. The guy just falls over, and then he dunks the ball. And then like 3 plays down the court, Bol Bol has the ball in transition, and he kind of does that long step to the right, and he thinks he's going to pass it to the right. And he just runs out of his way, and Bol Bol's like, I'm just going to go right to the rim. Boom. And it was just like back-to-back plays where that Troy Hendricks kid got pwned. But you saw that from him. You saw those blocks. I thought he had more than 1 rebound. I could have swore I saw a couple really good rebounds. But again, Keita Bates-Diop isn't on this team anymore because Bol Bol's been playing this well. That's just a fact. If Bol Bol doesn't show up and show out like he has for the past few games since he's been back and what he flashed earlier in January, Keita Bates-Diop is still on this team because you need somebody to fill those minutes. But those are big minutes again from Bol Bol, and I feel like I'm on repeat. But 14 minutes, like that's great from him. The fact that he's playing as effective as he is Kevin Durant has a great first quarter, right? He goes out, he scores 19 points in the first quarter and plays the entire first. He plays 5 minutes in the second because he can rest for 7 minutes because Bol Bol's being productive enough in that time frame. That's what's big about what Bol Bol's bringing right now is he's allowing Kevin Durant to get rest. And that's what we need from our second team unit is production to give our stars rest. And that's my primary thing with Bol Bol right now is that's how productive he's being.
Yeah, he had a rough start. He was in foul trouble a little bit, 3 fouls.
Yeah.
Pretty quick in the game, but the way he finished the game in the fourth quarter, that's the most important thing. It's like he's going to have these rough starts. It's like, oh, wait, never mind. I don't buy into Bol. It's like, no, well, let's see how he responds. So when he comes back in the fourth quarter, in that span, he had the 3 blocks, and then he had another shot to turns. Like, that's what he can bring, right? He doesn't really give up defensively. He'll continue to basically catch up to every guy, right? He kind of gets out of place a little bit, but he has, of course, a wingspan to catch up. But it's just a determination to continue to get better and take those shots, those little jump hook shots that are over, not jump hook, but like a real shot. Like, and he like is crouched into a ball, or I don't even know. It looks so fucking funny, but he's like 10 feet over the dude.
Yeah, when he's over
like
Keontae George.
Yeah. And I love the way he finished. I just wanted to see him finish. It's like, well, can you come back? Do you have the confidence to believe in yourself to come back and actually finish out this game, help the Suns win the game? And he did. That was another big step for him, man. I'm serious. I'm going to say it every pod, dude. This guy has to stay healthy for us to win a championship. I think he's going to make big plays in the playoffs. I know I don't know if I kid about him being a starter. He'll never be a starter, okay? But I do see 25 minutes in the future for this guy, and he needs more and more minutes for sure. Great game, Bol Bol. Love you.
Well, and one of the key moments in this game is the Suns, in typical fourth quarter fashion, open up by allowing a 6-0 run, right? And it's like you can almost feel the crowd getting a little tense. But it's Bol Bol who shut that down. You know, it's he jukes that's when that juke play happened on Troy Hendricks. Is all of a sudden the crowd is electric because that's what he brings. Is he brings that electricity, and that's what kind of ease the tension, if you will. And that's where the Suns lack in the fourth quarter sometimes, is they just need they need to have a good possession or an exciting play, especially at home in the fourth quarter, to get the heebie-jeebies off of their back, if you will, and allow themselves to have the confidence to close out the game. Now, granted, fourth quarter overall, they only scored 20 points. Right. I mean, this team had 109 points through 3 quarters and only scored 20 because they're midway through the quarter. There was a period where it was like 3 minutes, it felt like, where neither team was scoring. It was stuck on like 120 to 104 or whatever it was for the longest time. So there's still some opportunity there. But credit to Bol Bol for getting the crowd behind the Suns again and allowing them to close out the Jazz in the fashion that they did. So really, really happy with this.
Yeah, and really quick too, Seth Logan Hopkins says, why does Bol Bol ever jump on D? He will figure it out. It was funny because he did, and he was drawn to a foul, and you could just see Beal be like, you don't need to. And he's just like, well, he's like shaking his head. He's doing that Beal thing, like, no, you don't need to, man. Just put your arms up. He's all, put your arms up, dude. Great
yeah,
stuff.
You're long
all
as
the
hell,
teaching
man.
Tonight, dude. Without Book on the court, they can teach these guys, right? Maybe Book's our problem.
Well, the trade deadline's passed, so I don't think they're going to be.
I know.
I don't think they're going to be getting rid of him. So, what else you got in your notes before we talk a little bit about the trade deadline?
Let me see. I think we went over the big shit. You know, the 3-point lead that it dwindled down to 3 points there in the third, and then
boom,
right back up to 10, just like that. So that's this team.
That was huge.
That's about it. Nothing like that.
That was there was Grayson Allen too. He started point guard and hitting Eric Gordon for threes. Yeah, it was what, 81 to 78, and then they ran off 13 in a row, and you're like, okay, game's over. Well, that means you were hanging out in Salt Lake tonight on the subreddit. The Suns Jam Session subreddit stakeout. Who's this?
All right, so you've heard of the Valley Boys, right? Well, what about the Valley Girls, right? So maybe the Housewives with my gray hair. I don't know.
The Real Housewives of the Phoenix Suns?
Yeah. So maybe I'll order a new wig. I don't know. I'm just hanging out.
David, who's AJW. Oh, wow. Who's this hottie?
None of your business. All right. Just listen up, right? Okay. Let's see.
Real Housewives of Salt Lake City.
Hopefully I don't turn anybody on tonight. That's not my meaning. All right. So I've never seen Eric Gordon miss a shot versus the Jazz. I never. What? If Eric Gordon,
I gotta mute myself.
If Eric Gordon's games against the Jazz were representative of his career, he'd be a Hall of Famer. All right. I was in the club earlier, but now I'm out of the club. So, man, I don't like anyone on the Suns team. I hated Nurkic for years, and I used to love when Rudy would completely shut him down. Grayson Allen, Eric Gordon, Nurkic. It's the whole hoot of hatred. I don't know what that meant, but whatever. Just put it in there. So the game in a nutshell. Hey, Suns, do you want the ball? Here, take it. Hey, Suns, do you want wide open threes? Here, take it. That was basically in a nutshell. Who's mascot?
This is so good, dude. This is so much better than Elvis.
I know. I'm so glad I switched it up, right? Maybe I'm not. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe people will like me more this way. His mascot is worse. The Heat are Thunder. I don't know why that was in there.
Randomly, they just talk about the Thunder.
Yeah. And that's all I had. That's it.
All right, Real Housewives of the Valley Boys. Thanks for hanging out in Salt Lake for us.
Yeah. Catch you later.
The Suns Jam Session subreddit stakeout.
Okay.
My face hurts.
Good. I hope that was okay. I think that was better.
It's so good.
Yeah, I am. I'm a trans, so
That was so good. Dagoon, Lissy identifies as what the fuck? Oh my
I'm doing
god.
a little too good, maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
All
Maybe
right.
that's my future.
All right.
Oh, geez, AJW, Josh Giddey is coming for you. Yeah, well, I'm too old.
Let's.
Jam star of the game.
All right, Jamsters. It's a reminder. Costumes aren't cheap.
Yeah.
Matthew needs a new wig.
I need a new wig.
He needs a new wig for that bit. But let us know in the chat who your jam star of the game was. Matthew, I think on this one, I'm going to go with Grayson Allen. I know that KD was, God, I'm giving it to Grayson. He had 14 assists.
Yeah,
he almost
insane.
doubled up his career high. He helped move that ball around. KD did so much in this, but I really appreciate Grayson. And I don't give it to him too often. So this one goes to GA for me. Who do you got?
Yeah, I'm giving it to Grayson for sure. That's incredible. 14 assists, and I really had no idea until late in the game. Like, I had no idea. So good for him, man. Reminds me of Steve Nash. Same guy out there.
Beal and Durant from David Ray. Dagoon is teetering between arousal and disgust. Katie and Passon Allen are my jam stars from John Tran. Suns Fever jam star Allen for the ball handling tonight. Lissy's housewife for jam star from the McReadys. The whole family apparently.
The housewives at Tukey.
The housewives at Tukey. Sensei Durant from Saul in the chat. The real deal Beal from Kiko. Missy Lissy and also KD.
There you go. That brings back memories.
from Blaze Megatron. Bo from Maya. I don't know who that is. GA from Prescott Mark. Bol Bol. She was starting to type. Okay, Bol Bol from Maya. Yeah. Allen from AJW. Lissy in French means something. Point Allen from Michael Kolb. Katie from Jam. So a lot of all over the place. That's how you know it's a team win right there, is when the Jamsters are giving us a bunch of different answers on who the Jam star is. It truly means that there was a good quality team win tonight by the Phoenix Suns. So, well, here we are, 37 minutes into the pod. Just want to talk a little bit about the trade deadline. But before I do that, legacy style.
You're down with KBD.
Yeah, you know me.
You're down with KBD.
Yeah, you know me.
Who's down with KBD?
Every last lady.
Where's my dog?
Jordan. Dog wins.
There's my dog.
Hey, I just
met two.
And this is crazy, but here's my number.
4.
So call me maybe.
Utah.
It does hurt your feelings a little bit when the trade deadline happens, because you know some guys are going that you worked very hard on those drops for, and we'll only get to play them whenever we play Brooklyn, which we won't the rest of the season, and Memphis, and I don't know if we play them again this season. But the Phoenix Suns, if you didn't listen to the 2024 trade deadline reaction show between Suns Geek and myself, you're going to catch some of the same probably observations from me here. But talking to Matthew for the first time, it brings me to another question.
Oi, Matty. Mate, I've got to ask.
I guess I got 2 questions for you as it pertains to the trade deadline. First, should there be games on the trade deadline day?
I kept seeing that like later today on Twitter, they were talking about just having the day off, and I think it kind of makes sense. I mean, did you see Brooke Lopez or not Brooke, Robin Lopez reading a book on the sideline because he was traded, I guess? Like, and he's just reading a book at the game. That
He's
was
like, well,
hilarious. He's like, what else am I
couldn't catch
supposed to do?
Yeah, it's just like,
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, do you think so?
yeah, I think the NBA should turn it into an event. It's like it's always right before the Super Bowl. It's like turn it into it's trade deadline day. Like no games tonight. You know, the trade deadline, move it back to like 5 p.m. Arizona time, 8 p.m. Eastern. Give us a full day of it.
Yes.
Turn it into an event. Like and because here's what the one thing I don't like about it is you look at nights like tonight, right? The Suns are in the middle of a playoff run, in the middle of a rock fight in the Western Conference. And the Suns traded out 4 players today. So they're shorthanded. Booker is out. That's 5 players. They're shorthanded. They're down a third of their team. And then you also have Damian Lee out. So they're down more than a third of their team. If they lose this game because of that, and then you look at the standings at the end of the season and they fall a game out of the standings and end up in the play-in game, like it's not fair. You get penalized for trying to make your team better if you have to play today. And that's the same to be said with any team that had to play today. There's going to be, it happened last year. We got killed by the Atlanta Hawks. Now, granted, we can never win in Atlanta anyways, but we got killed by the Atlanta Hawks because we had traded for Kevin Durant and we had no wing depth that game. So it's got to be a day in which there's no games going on and you can make the trades and you're not compromised because of it. That's just my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. I think they did a good job at moving it before the All-Star game. The next step is this. Is this like the first year we kind of heard about this, like having a trade deadline day? Because I don't remember it last year. Like
I remember being upset about it last year because it was the same
Okay.
thing. Yeah, the Suns were in the middle of a playoff fight. I'm like, why are we playing today? This isn't fair.
Yeah.
We are
It's
being
like a sick
penalized
day, right?
because we got Kevin Durant. Yeah, it's a sick day for the
Yeah.
whole NBA. So
Should be.
that's just my thought.
I love
this. The second question I have for you is talking about what happened today. So for those of you who don't know, I didn't create a graphic, and I should have. I had time today. Royce O'Neal is now a member of the Phoenix Suns, as is David Roddy. The Suns sent out Chimezie Metu, Yuta Watanabe, Jordan Goodwin, and Keita Bates-Diop. 2 went to one team, 2 went to another. They sent out some picks, got some pick swaps back, some changing of hands with draft picks. But ultimately what the Phoenix Suns did is they added Royce O'Neal, they added David Roddy, and they've opened up 2 roster spots, which they will fill with the buyout market, which is great. It gives us something to talk about till March 1st. So did the Suns get better, worse, or stay the same today? That's the question.
I think they got a ton to be better. I think they got a little bit more confidence in their role players. The guy, Royce O'Neal, he'll just come in, he'll be himself. He knows his role, basically, like everyone said, you've seen all Twitter. I don't know if I should repeat, the cutter, 3-point shooter, spot up shooter. It's pretty solid, man. You need that wing defender. You got him. It's nothing crazy though, obviously, but it just seems like something that all the fans, everyone is in agreement. Like this was a perfect move. It wasn't anything too crazy. He didn't go after Miles Bridges, who will likely be re-signed next year. That was kind of like the prize, I feel like, but I feel like a lot of fan bases, but I know he didn't want to be traded and he denied it, but it would have just been so brutal here if he were to come here and then everyone would be upset. So you went the safer way. You got a guy that's a need and you got rid of 4 players that you just couldn't use. You just could not use in a rotation. But this guy for sure will definitely use up some minutes and some quality minutes. So I'm pretty excited about it. And it's kind of weird to like hear about it a few days before.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, maybe not. Maybe it'll happen, but it did happen. So it's kind of like one of the first times that's ever happened, I feel like.
Well, I think that was the big body Roddy. That was the one that I didn't see happening, right? Like, I have no idea.
I'm not familiar. Yeah.
David Roddy, like I kind of remember when he played against us earlier in the season. He's just a big round dude who's thick, 6'4", but plays power forward, and he scored 14 points against the Suns in a game earlier this season. So that was kind of the curveball that we never really saw coming. But that being said, Royce O'Neal was definitely somebody who was on the Suns' radar. And this is the way that I look at it. And this is kind of part of the conversation I had with Suns Geek. So I'm going to regurgitate this. One thing that we've talked about, and most notably me on this podcast, is the challenge that we've had with a lot of our second team unit guys is they're too passive. When they're out there playing, they're going to be out there. At no point is not a member of the big 3 out there. Kevin Durant's out there, Bradley Beal or Devin Booker's out there, a combination of 2 or potentially all 3. And when that happens, you have these guys who are here on prove-it deals who are playing tentative. They're playing cautiously. They're playing to not make the wrong decision versus making the right decision. And when that happens, they're not playing to the best of their basketball ability. They're playing scared. When you look at all 4 of the guys who went out, that's literally what happened. Jordan Goodwin, probably not as much, but definitely Yuta Watanabe, definitely Keita Bates-Diop. Chimezie Metu maybe at times. But that's what happened. So now you bring in a guy, and kudos to the Suns. They took 4 contracts, they stacked them, and they got a guy who's worth $9 million. They got a guy who's worth the other 4 guys. It's a great move. Great move by James Jones. But they got a guy who's 30 years old, who has 44 games of playoff experience, confident, who's not afraid to shoot the 3 ball. That's the challenge, right? Yuta Watanabe got afraid to shoot the 3 ball. It's like, dude, we brought you here to shoot the 3 ball. He's pump faking guys, driving, and then throwing the ball away. He doesn't know what he's doing on defense. So now you're bringing a guy who's confident enough in himself to play next to those big 3. I think that is a great move. What James Jones did is he corrected the mistakes of the summer. This past summer, we were excited for all 4 of these guys to join the team. One of them via trade in Jordan Goodwin as a part of the Bradley Beal trade, and the other 3 as veteran minimum deals. And those vet min deals didn't play out the way that we wanted it to. So you know what you do? You correct the mistake. You take all those guys, you package them up, you send them off, and you bring in a guy who's proven to have the ability to step up and hit big shots and isn't afraid to do so next to the likes of Kevin Durant, who he's played with before. So I think it's an absolutely great move. I'm interested to watch more of David Roddy and seeing how he fits into this equation. Sounds like he's a guy who plays physical, which is something that we need. We are a finesse team, so we need some more physical players. These are both physical players. Royce O'Neal's a 3-and-D guy. He will hit the 3 ball. He makes your second team unit much more tougher. He's a top 7 guy in this rotation. Eric Gordon was the 6th best guy. We all knew this, right? It was like Grayson Allen, Nurkic, the big 3, Eric Gordon, and then like from a talent level, it's just like falls off the cliff, and we hope that these guys can be good. Royce O'Neal is a quality 7th guy. So I like the way that Zona Hoops, who is on the Locked On Suns podcast sometimes, a writer for Bright Side of the Sun, he goes, this is my take on what the Suns did today. They acquired one player that they can trust to play 15 to 20 minutes in a playoff game. They only had 6 of those previously. They trimmed the roster fat and opened 2 spots for what should be a rich buyout market. It was a solid day. I completely agree with that observation.
Yeah, it was awesome. And I think the biggest thing for the Suns is just letting go of those guys. You know, you came into the season with a roster that you felt was pretty adequate. It was a team that you thought had a chance to go to the finals and win it all with the big 3. Great supporting cast. At least we all thought so. And you realize quickly, like, it's not panning out, and they had to go. So to suck it up and just move on, they know they had to make that decision. So it's good. And with Royce and Eric Gordon, like, it's kind of nice to have both of them, right? Because Eric Gordon, he's had like his 3 or 4 game slump. So he can fill that void just the way I feel like this is how I think with Bol Bol and Eubanks, where they have to play together and they have to pick each other up and make sure that they're dominant on the glass and they can shot deter and like hit the pick and rolls, and they're ready for that. These 2 guys, they can kind of be the same way, but in their own aspect of shooting and, you know, defense for Royce. But I just like the fact that you just have some solid dudes now, right? It is a good 7. It's a good 7 with a little bit of sprinkles of some other guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And your second team unit's going to have an identity. And I truly believe that, because the previous because again, that second team unit isn't a true second team unit. It's always going to be a hybrid because a member of the big 3 is going to be out there. But still, those second team guys need to have some semblance of an identity. And that identity shouldn't be, oh shit, the ball's coming to me, I'm scared, I better not make the wrong decision, or Kevin Durant or Devin Booker, Bradley Beal are going to be mad at me. Whereas Royce O'Neal will be like, yeah, fuck yourself. Like, I know what I'm doing here too, man. Like, I missed a shot. So I did say a little bit earlier today when I asked Suns Geek, I said, is there anything you're disappointed with when it comes to the trade deadline? So I'll ask you the same question. Is there anything that you're disappointed with around the trade deadline and the Phoenix Suns?
No, because I don't think there is much else out there. I really don't. I mean, there's some guys that maybe went to some other teams where you kind of who did Dallas pick up? They picked up
They got PJ Washington.
PJ Washington, which I feel like they got better with that. It's a great
and they got
pickup.
rid of Grant Williams because he just didn't mesh
Yeah,
there.
thank God they had to do that.
And they got
I'm pissed they did.
Daniel Gafford from Washington.
Yeah,
for
PJ Washington
Rashawn
was a big
Holmes.
pickup. Yeah, big pickup by them.
But
so
we'll
if you look
see how he
league,
meshes with Luka, right? The
yeah,
Knicks
exactly.
did the best
That's always
job,
a
in my
thing.
opinion.
I feel like they always kind of get some good pieces around the trade deadline, but it's just how they mesh with Luka.
Mhm.
But I just look at the rest of the teams out west and how much better they got. Nothing really happened too crazy. You're not too worried about the other teams as
Yeah,
much.
a lot of Eastern Conference teams fortified themselves. The Knicks definitely fortified themselves. I don't know what the Pacers were doing being giving up Buddy Hield. I don't know what the Jazz were doing by giving up Kelly Olynyk and a Choey or whatever the guy's name, a couple other pieces. Like the Jazz don't know if they want to be buyers or sellers, so they just kind of sell. The one thing that I was disappointed with, and I mentioned this on the show earlier, was the fact that we kept Nasir Little. And the only problem I have with that is the fact that he's on the first year of a 4-year, $28 million contract. And it's a tough contract. And I know that whenever I have this conversation with you, you say the same thing. Contracts don't matter. But I feel in the new era of first and second apron teams, they can be limiting, and you want to make sure that you're getting bang for your buck for those guys. And that's the challenge I have with Little, is there's not a lot of bang for your buck. Now, granted, tonight, albeit because they were understaffed, Little got some play and some minutes. And if Little is going to get some run and we can truly give him an opportunity to try to become what he is meant to be, you can either utilize him on the market and sell him next year or what have you, or he can actually turn into be somebody productive for you. He has the athletic ability. It's the consistency that's been a challenge. I like what AJW says in the chat. However, he says Little was a smart move. Use his contract for a trade asset in the future if he doesn't improve. And that's what the Suns are going to have to do. But the challenge we have is if he continues to not play is he's a $7.7 million a year guy in 2 years who's not playing. So you're not getting any value from him. Nobody wants that guy unless he's expiring, and he's not expiring until 2027. So that was the one thing I was disappointed with. Nothing too crazy, if you will. Joe from Charlotte hit us up on Twitter, and he says, at Suns Jam, I got a question maybe for the show later. So if you guys ever have questions for the show, just tweet at us at Suns Jam. We read all that stuff, and this is a good question. I thought I'd bring it up on the show. So shout out to Joe from Charlotte. I know that you like listening to the show, and you, if I remember correctly, you called in on a call-in show a while ago, and you drive a truck and you listen to us on the truck routes. If I'm wrong, forgive me for I've sinned. It's been 20 years since my last confession. He says, after signing our vet min guys this summer without knowing the return, if you were told 3 would be traded and Goodwin, would you have thought the moves didn't pan out, or they were so good that we got to pair them for a big trade? Does that question make sense?
No, actually, I was going to ask you to repeat the question.
I will repeat the question. After signing our vet minimum guys this summer without knowing the return, if you were told 3 would be traded and with Goodwin, would you have thought that the moves didn't pan out? AKA, would you think that if we traded these 4 guys, it's because they didn't pan out, or we traded these guys because they were so good that we got to pair them for a big trade?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I would have thought the first option.
Me
I would
too.
have thought. Yeah, I mean, we were all very excited, but just high hopes. I think coming into a season, you just get really excited. You're like, oh, Yuta, yeah, let's go. Like these guys, they can hit these shots, right? They'll come in, just pick up the pace when they need to, or just hit corner threes when they need to. But, I don't know, man. I mean, around even the media, like they didn't think the Suns had that great of a roster. I think Eric Gordon was the biggest pickup for sure. But other than that, no. And I don't think I would have been so surprised for the first one.
Yeah, if you told me at the beginning of the season that we were trading those 4 guys, I would have thought it's because they failed. Because if those guys were playing great and you got them on vet minimum deals with a player option next year, I was like, hell yeah, dude. Like the plan that we were all excited for this past summer came to fruition. That was the ultimate goal and hope, is that these veteran minimum guys would have the ability to step up and play the way that we all hoped that they could. They just didn't. And that's kind of where we landed. So overall, I think the Suns did a good job on the trade deadline. Obviously, the next topic of conversation that we're going to have, not here tonight, as all the dust settles from the trade deadline, is the buyout market. Again, the Suns have 2 open roster spots. It is a little tricky, however, because the Suns can only afford to bring in guys who were waived that make less than $12.4 million, which is the average salary in the NBA. So Spencer Dinwiddie was waived. he's going to help somebody. He ain't going to help us. He was making 19 million or 30 million. I don't know what the fuck he was making. He's making too much. So it's definitely something that we have and will continue to monitor, considering the fact that you have until March 1st to sign a player and they can be on your postseason roster. So when we think about buyout guys, that's one aspect of the equation is they have to make have made less than 12 for a year to join the Suns. The other factor in the equation you have to realize is Phoenix is a good team. There will be guys who will be interested. So we are going to have our pick. So it's going to be something to discuss is what do you feel our needs are? And does somebody out there on the buyout market meet those needs? So that's another conversation for another time. I myself need to research. It's definitely a series we'll be running on brightsideofthesun.com. So we'll have polls and things in there. So if you get a chance to, and you see one of those articles up, pop in there, read what we have to say, vote on the poll. Because I want to get a good sense of what our readers and our listeners think that the Suns need to address. And then we can start to align with what players are available that we can actually go and pursue and see if that's actually who we end up getting. Sound good?
What the fuck? Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I got one more thing. I got one more gripe, and this is where everybody you can log off now. Show's over. This is just
everyone exit the room.
Please leave the room. This is me and Matthew just talking. So, Bill Simmons drives me nuts, man. So I got two things. Have you been listening? How much Bill Simmons have you listened to recently?
So last pod that came out Wednesday, I listened maybe 20 minutes.
Okay,
20 minutes in.
Okay, so you didn't listen. That was the trade value one, right?
Trade value, yep.
Okay, so I guess I'm just gonna spoil that one for you. There's that one, and then he had a two-parter today. So I listened to the first part today, and there's two things that just drives me nuts. So in the player value one, right? And again, like you and I'll listen to Bill Simmons religiously. I just like listening to his points of view. It drives me nuts. He's a Boston Celtic fanboy. Like there's things that you listen to this podcast can't stand about it. There's little nuances, and the fact that I say negate a lot probably is like, God, Voida, we get it. Get a new word. And that's how I feel when I listen to Bill Simmons. But so he's doing his trade value thing, and it's a countdown to the guys, whatever. And when he hits like this, the top 15, he just starts going through all the guys, right? He's like, like 15, Bam Adebayo. And like, I'm not saying the correct guys, but he's like, Bam Adebayo, and his shooting percentage is down, and this and that. He routed us off like 10 stats. And he's like, number 14, De'Aaron Fox, was robbed as an all-star, but he's going to end up being an all-star, blah, 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 blah. And he's going down the line. He's like, number 11, Tyler Hero, shooter. I think that his trade value due to his contract is going to be really good. Number 10, Devin Booker. Number 9, Tyrese Halliburton. So he skips like right over Booker. Like he's got bios on everybody. He hits Booker, just says number 10, Devin Booker. Number 9 was Tyrese Halliburton. And he just went off on how great Halliburton is. I'm like, dude, like give fucking Devin Booker some love, man. You've given everybody in the top 15 you're talking 2 minutes about. And Devin Booker, he gets like we know that he's number 10. It's just annoying.
Even when he talks about him, dude, like his tone of his voice changes drastically. It definitely does. He tries to hide it, but there's something there. He must I don't know. I don't know what. Obviously, we know what happened. The 70 points, but I'm just saying there's something there, and I'm glad I didn't hear that, man, because I would have been pissed off.
And then the other one that pissed me off on the drive home is he's talking about Russillo's back on, and I love it because I love Russillo. Russillo's podcast is so much better, anyways. So Russillo and him are talking about teams that have the potential to win a title, and they're going through and Russillo's like, yeah, I got like 9 teams, and he kind of went through his teams, and Phoenix was one of them, and then like Bill Simmons he's talking about it, and he's calling them win a title, but he's like, there's guys that there's teams that like can win a title, but here's a reason why I'd be shocked if they could. And he gets to Phoenix, and he's just like, and I don't trust Nurk. He's so obsessed with how much he doesn't like Nurkic. He's like, well, Nurkic is about to. He's like 10 games away from playing the most games he's played since 2019. I just don't trust it. And then he moves right off of it. And then like even Russillo like backs him up. He's like, dude, they're like what they're doing with him is a lot different than what Portland did with him, and he's playing great. He's like, yeah, I just don't trust it. Oh, it just drives me nuts.
Yeah, it's
I
hard.
just thought I'd
and,
share that with you.
No, that's good. And I think it's tough for him too, because they were talking about, I think it was Larry David. Yeah, Larry David was on the pod, I think Monday. And they were talking about the time he spends watching sports and like how much time and like he just doesn't watch. Obviously, he has the same
Yeah.
thing. I just think he doesn't get
We're
back
not
around to
one of his league.
Phoenix.
We're not one of his league pass teams.
Yeah, that's all it is. So honestly, if I were to talk about a team I didn't know, I'd probably say the same shit about the Suns. Like if I was not paying attention to the Suns, like yeah, Nurk's still healthy. Oh, that's not gonna last. So I can kind of see that, but it's frustrating as Phoenix fans because he's always been such a well. Actually, he did pick us to win the championship 2 years ago, but
Yeah, but at the same time, like he's sitting there contradicting himself on big men. He did that again in the trade value thing or whatever. He's just like, or today he's just like, yeah, I feel like any team can go and get a big man. I'm like, you weren't saying that 3 months ago, dude, with the fucking Timberwolves. And he's sitting there talking about injury prone, and meanwhile he's like blowing Embiid half the year, and then Embiid's like the most injury prone guy ever, and now he's injured again. And like AJW says, but he trusts KP. Like it's like, dude, I don't know.
yeah, it's weird. I don't know what that is, but I can see the Nurk
nuts.
thing, but yeah, I don't. It's all right. I love it when KOC's on there, but last time I heard KOC in the pod, like Bill Simmons was like kind of a dick to him. Did you hear that one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what was that? Like he's like, and I don't know what I don't
he
know.
was
If, like,
he was being very
team.
dismissive of everything that he was saying.
He was like, yeah, and then he was like all with Joe House. He was just making sure that Joe House got his shit in, and he was just like buddy with Joe House, and then KOC's he's like, what the fuck do you want? All right, yeah, well I don't agree with that or whatever. And, but I love it when Russillo does know his shit.
Talks shit.
And he's
He
like,
talks shit
hold
back
on, wait 1 second. I have notes on my notepad for this.
Yeah. Like I'm ready for
he
this.
watches games religiously. That guy.
That's all he does.
That's all he does.
He's single. He just sits in Huntington Beach and watches fucking games, or Manhattan Beach.
Yeah.
So I've got a cabriolet, and most of all, I'm liquid. Here's I got to get that down. I got to get the Ben Affleck thing.
Yeah. I remember that's the first time I ever seen Boiler Room is when I started listening to that the Life Advice. I was like, I got to watch this movie. So
I've never watched it.
It's all right.
Yeah.
It's just fun.
Yeah, Russillo's fun.
Yeah.
All right, Jamsters, that's it. You can come back to the pod now. Matthew and I are done bitching to each other about
Put my clothes back on.
This is normally what we talk about if we're at like family functions. I could have just waited till Sunday. You coming over for the Super Bowl?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Or maybe I'll watch it with my mom. I don't know.
We're just getting pizza. I'm not doing anything crazy. I get my shot the next day. So
I was gonna say I'm probably gonna be really tired Sunday. So we'll see if I make it up.
I'm tired every day.
Well,
there you go, Jamsters. Thanks for hanging out. Hope you enjoyed that game against the Jazz, and hope you enjoyed our takes on the trade deadline. Plenty more to come as the buyout market is around the corner, and we will be coming to you live on Saturday night after the Suns go to Golden State and to play them one final time this season. So until then,
go and love your family.
Like a Valley girl, Matthew.
What are you talking about?
Oh.